Recently, I left academia for social media, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about why I did that, how's it going so far, and hopefully what I'm hoping to do in the future. So, for those who don't know me, my name is Aamir Hussein. I've been in the world of academia since 2011. I did my undergrad in biomedical science, I did a PhD in vascular pharmacology to 2019, and then since 2018, I've been doing various postdoc roles in the areas of inflammation, respiratory immunology, and molecular biology. And recently, this year, 2022, I decided to take the plunge and leave academia for social media. Now, part of it is by choice and part of it is also forced, which is not a great thing. But I'm hoping to share in this video why I've actually done that. So many of you know that the world of academia has many pros, but it also has many cons. And you've probably seen the recent trends in the videos that I've made over the past couple of weeks about the kind of negative connotations in regards to academia. And that's been through a lot of research, but also through my own personal experiences. And one of the biggest factors is the lack of stability and financial gain from the world of academia, whereas other roles, you're in a permanent position, you're paid quite well on a salary basis, so you're not having to worry about where your income is going to come the next month or even the next year, because as we know, with many postdoc roles, it is either underpaid and it's temporary. You might be there for 2 years or 3 years, and by the time you enter the second year of your postdoc, you're then wondering, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to support myself? And I found myself in this situation, unfortunately, this year. And because of the issues that I faced within my PhD, it made it very hard for me to find fully funded postdoc roles with my CV at the time. Thankfully, it's got better, it's strengthened, there's more papers in the pipeline, and there's more papers that have been published. But again, as many of us know, academia is very toxic and sometimes a very competitive place to be in, more so than others. This year hasn't been all doom and gloom, because I've been very grateful to develop and grow my Instagram platform for all of my research advices that I do share in short form content. Aamir.phd is on the screen now if you aren't following me already. And through that, I've developed, I mentioned this in the previous video recently, about actual paid social media work as a social media manager, an influencer marketer in that sense, finding and sourcing people to grow a brand, and that brand is Desperate Buddy, I can see on screen now, and also being an actual video editor, a senior video editor for another enterprise, another company called Microform, who design, develop, and kind of grow an entire platform to help pharmacy students in the UK and help them migrate from being a student to qualifying for the their actual assessment exam, so they can become qualified. And I've been in charge of looking after the YouTube channel that governs that, and these two in particular have essentially helped me to generate enough income more than my admin job that I have at university. So since May of this year, I've actually not been in the lab. I've left the role of academia, research academia, because I was kind of forced to, because it's hard to find a role, but also by choice, because the social media growth has led to these paid work positions that I'm incredibly grateful for, because I would not be able to survive on the part-time income because of all the expenses that I've developed as a result of growing all the social media platforms and me being a 29-year-old and stuff that I decided to pay for. It makes it difficult to survive off a part-time income. So you can now start to realize why it was part choice and also part forced, really, because academia is so difficult to break into and then stay there in the permanent mind. So you're probably wondering, how are you finding it? How are you finding, putting down to prepare and picking up the camera? I would pick up the camera, but I'm currently using it to record said video. And I think kind of short-term and long-term feelings is that it's been really fun, because it's been a nice step away from academia for the time being, because of all the problems that I've faced throughout my undergrad, my PhD, my postdocs. I've made videos, unfortunately, about the toxicity that I've faced. So it's been nice to, flex my creativity muscles and doing something slightly different. And using actually the research skills I've learned about identifying trends and patterns, being a good speaker, understanding commonalities, quickly adapting to scenarios, thinking on the spot, a lot of stuff that you do as a researcher. So I was surprised to realize a lot of the skills that I've learned throughout my PhD and postdoc were actually applicable to being a content creation manager, to helping run an e-commerce business, to be a video editor as well. So that was a nice surprise, a pleasant surprise, and I've been enjoying utilizing something that I actually find enjoyable. I'm quite passionate about, And now being able to earn a living, a small amount of living from that is actually a great learning curve and something I've been very grateful for. So yeah, as a short time, been loving it. It's been nice to not deal with toxicity from academia, but enjoy the benefits of being super creative on Instagram, and looking at paid advertising, and looking at how to source creators and liaising with them, and then how to make really awesome YouTube videos different from my own, looking at thumbnails and stuff like that. So it's been really, really interesting to understand it from that point of view. So the slightly long-term side is that it's not a permanent position, although I really enjoy it. I'm happy to be in this kind of freelance role. It's not technically something I can do long term, even though I would like to and I hope to do. But again, until it's kind of technically in a contract and it's permanent, that will put some ease to my mind in terms of making sure that somebody doesn't go around saying, "Do you know what, sorry," and then I'm stuck. So I know from discussions with technically my two bosses, that's not going to happen. But again, you want that permanent in a contract, so it puts you at ease from that point of view. So I think that's the only perhaps negative point, something that's concerning from transition from academia to social media. But I do think it's a lot better than the problems that I faced being in the kind of a freelance postdoc role with some of the things that have happened from 2018 to now. But the big question is, what are you going to do actual long term? Are you going to go back into academia, or will you stay in social media? And believe it or not, it's genuinely quite a tough choice, because for those of you who know me quite well or see me on Instagram, I put a lot of effort into the research advice that I share because I enjoy research. I enjoy teaching, I enjoy being in the lab and helping to develop an understanding of a certain condition or disease, especially from the immune system and inflammatory side. Because of the deep personal passion I have towards it, and why I believe it's such a critical avenue to explore for many diseases that cause so many problems around the world. So I do want to get back into academia for sure, but I'm not in any rush to find this next role. I would rather wait a little bit longer if I can and find the right role that I can break into and then perhaps stay. But I don't want to leave social media because I enjoy developing my own Instagram page and ResearchTribe that I mentioned in terms of the e-guides that I've made, but also helping other brands. And I enjoy recording videos, editing videos, and I do want those things to be quite prominent side hustles in my life, where the day job can be research and still be in academia hopefully, but away from that, perhaps even on a slightly less full-time but more than part-time basis, I can do and run and be a part of these big brands that I help and I consult with and I work for, because I enjoy both. Because a lot of people, think that you can only enjoy one thing. I enjoy playing tennis, I enjoy recording videos, I enjoy being in the lab, but also I enjoy being creative from social media side. And who said you can't do a factor of these in your life? And people who I aspire to be in terms of the academia role is like people like Andrew Huberman, who has a podcast, has a whole social media engine, but still technically a professor of a university. Now, although he has teams to help him with the social media side, that is something I'm hoping to grow into in the next 5 or 10 years, because I do want to stay in this research life, but I do want to stay in the social media life. And I think that is a great combination of how I can actually do that. That is feasible. So the answer is, I do want to go back into academia, but I don't want to lose or give up the stuff that I'm working on, because I do enjoy it and I don't want to give that up just because I want to go back in academia. So a bit of both, hopefully, and hopefully I can find a better solution or better way to do both going forward. So guys, that's a little bit of a crash course into why I've left academia for social media time being, but hopefully maybe in 2023 it might be more of a balance between both. But I didn't appreciate many of the PhD students might be in similar position to what I was. So social media is a great avenue if you want to look into. But again, you can find me on Aamir@researchtribe.org if you want to contact me or ask me any questions. Or you can DM me on Instagram, Aamir.phd, if you have some questions about how to perhaps earn a living from social media if you are a researcher. But without further ado, that is the end of said video, and I shall hopefully see you in the next one. Take care. Thanks for watching.